So your child is already receiving special education services, and you think perhaps you have the question, gee, I wonder if my child should be attending summer school or what is referred to as extended school year, ESY.
Right.
Oftentimes, when a parent will ask a school, gee, I think my child needs extended school year services, they may say something like, you can only get summer school or extended school year services if you can prove your child is going to regress.
Yeah, I hear that a lot, even when I'm at the meeting. So let me explain why that's not the law, and then we can talk about how to respond to it. Extended school year services, and it can be summer school, that there's an actual school that the child may be going to that's in place and that is individualized to meet children's needs. But it may only be services provided in a different location. It doesn't necessarily have to be you're going to a summer school. But extended school year services are defined in the special education laws. They still have to be individualized, just like the regular school year services do. They can't just be cookie-cutter programs, although I hear all of the time at almost every IEP meeting I attend, individualized education program meeting I attend, at which summer services are designed. Almost all of the time, the response is, our summer program starts on July 6th, and it ends on August 4th, and it goes from 2 o'clock to 2:15 or whatever the hours are. And that doesn't feel very individualized to me, but that's a somewhat
From
separate
a practical
issue.
perspective, school districts will often do that because, let's face it, they have to do. You have to start somewhere.
You have a lot of children to program for.
It doesn't mean that your child's summer school services don't have to be individualized.
Right, or that they still don't have to be appropriate.
Right.
But that being said, so I hear this a lot. Parents are told, and I'm even told, well, what data do you have that the child regressed last summer, or what data do you have?
We must have the data.
The child, is regressing during breaks, vacations.
Right.
And there's a couple of problems with that. First of all, that is actually not the legal standard for whether or not a child is entitled to summer services. There have been cases on this. It is one of those still remaining very hard to die parables out there that people think that this is the law, and it's really not. There are some students for whom that is the standard, but the cases are very clear that if a child, by the nature of their disability, requires extended school year services, not because we're trying to prevent regression and trying to ensure that that's not what happens over the summer, but because the nature or severity of that child's disability requires that 12-month wraparound continuation of support. That's not the standard for those types of children. And so it's supposed to be, that factor is supposed to be looked at on an individualized basis. So it's really not the standard. Right. And it's frustrating because it's still believed to be the standard by many, many school districts. Right. Some states do have, through their State Department of Education, circular letters or opinion letters that the State Department of Education has put out. Many state departments of education, after a big decision comes down from the Supreme Court or in their local circuit court, will sometimes send out a letter to like all of the special education directors in the state saying, hey, this case just came down. We want you to be aware of it. And what it means is that for some kids, you actually don't use the regression and recoupment standard. Your state may have such a letter. If there is such a letter in your state, you want to bring it with you to the IEP meeting where summer services are going to be discussed, because it's a very good response to say, I've looked at the state website and I found this letter. Have you seen it?
Right.
And perhaps that will change the conversation. I certainly think it would.
So a practical thing that you can say after that beautiful explanation is to say something along the lines of, it's my understanding that regression is not the only criteria by which you make a decision on whether or not a child's eligible for extended school year services.
That's a good
kind of a long-winded sentence, but the gist is
flows off the tongue, that one.
The gist is that, bringing to the team's attention that it's your understanding there's more than just one criteria. Right. And the extended school year, as Jen said, as you said, there's the federal under IDEA about extended school year, but often your state will have their own sort of, what did you call it?
Well, they may have like opinion letters or circular letters, which aren't binding. They're not the law. They're just interpreting the federal law or the state decisions for the special ed directors, because most of them are obviously not lawyers.
Right, and you'd be well served to print those out.